Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Steve Chiama, and I'm the franchise owner for Action Coach in Fairfax, Virginia. And I'm your host today of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have the pleasure to introduce Naumaan Nasir, the CEO and president of Nasir and Associates, as my guest. And today we're going to talk about Naumaan's business, his journey into business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop a new show like this one. So Naumaan, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. And please give us a little bit of background about who you are and tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. Good afternoon. Thanks for that intro. My name is Naumaan Nasir, CEO and President of Nasir and Associates LLC. We are an AISC certified steel fabricator and material supplier with locations in Baltimore, Maryland, and Front Royal, Virginia. We employ approximately 20 people and primarily serve the Mid-Atlantic market. Personally, I am a father of three, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Oh, cool.
Grew up in the Baltimore area, but most recently we've moved to Northern Virginia. So getting acquainted to that area. I went to the University of Maryland for undergrad and graduate school. So I'm a local guy, local business, just a DMV kind of a person.
Awesome, awesome. Let's give our viewers a little bit of context. Um, I'll talk a little bit about how your business is structured. Now, some people talk about solo. They start the business up on their own, all by themselves, bootstrap it. Some people have partners. Some people get outside financing. How have you structured the startup of your business?
So me, I started this business from scratch a little over a decade ago. We started in Baltimore and then eventually expanded out to Northern Virginia. Initially started out as a material supplier, generated revenue from that, invested that back into the company
Mm-hmm.
in order to fabricate what we were selling.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there were some challenges along the way. There were times where we thought, this isn't going to work, and
Mm-hmm.
I think 2018 was the year. There was a South Capitol Bridge in DC um, was our big break where we got a fairly large contract to fabricate some of their bridge components. I went to work, successfully did that. That we became sort of a go-to for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They continuously came back to us throughout the 4-year duration of building that bridge. So that helped us get a bit off the ground.
Good.
And
Good.
from there, fabrication became our specialty. We became AISC certified, which is sort of like an ISO
Mm-hmm.
certification specifically for steel and highway bridges.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, that was it. No investors, no outside help. Um,
So you got something to be proud of here.
yeah, I think so. Time
Awesome.
will tell. I'm proud so far.
That's a piece of the game too. Yeah, yeah. In a business, any business, there's a whole lot of different functions going on inside the business. And when you start it up all by yourself, you are doing everything.
Correct.
Sooner or later, as you start to get some scale and you're starting to get some scale, you're able to start handing off some of those hats, if you will, to other people. What are the hats you still wear?
As far as I still wear all the hats. I mean, even when you hire someone to do the job that you're doing, they don't nurse it like you do, So
Uh-huh.
there's always things that you have to oversee,
Mm-hmm.
make sure they get done,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have ownership in the company and they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have been able to delegate a lot, operations,
Good.
quality management. We have our own quality manager. That's one of
Yep.
the most important parts of this type of business is
Yep.
quality. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we were able to get him training to get him a CWI certification, which is required to do a lot of the inspections that he does in-house.
Okay.
So, project management, shop management, they've all been delegated, but I still work 50 to 60 hours a week and make sure all those things are getting done.
Yeah, yeah. Now, there's not bridges being built all the time right here in this immediate area. So besides the government entities that are responsible for those bridges, who else are key customers? Who's your target audience?
So we do various things besides bridges. We do sound wall posts. We do underground crates and things of that nature.
Hmm.
As far as the general contractors that we do business with, there would be sort of like the Allen Myers, for
Hmm.
example, the Kiewitz,
Hmm.
the Walsh, uh,
Hmm.
and municipalities themselves, VDOT, the
Okay.
Hampton Roads,
Uh-huh. Okay.
various customers
Okay.
out the region. Yeah.
Fantastic. What has made you guys unique? Why do they come to you?
I think our dedication to quality and our certified quality plan, our in-house engineering, and our incredibly talented staff of welders and fabricators makes us unique. Uh, Many other companies that do what we do tend to use a lot of subcontractors for
Hmm.
various aspects of the business, whether it be
Hmm.
detailing, engineering, certain parts of fabrication.
Hmm.
Outsource those components to other businesses. We have full control over all of that, from the beginning of the life cycle to the end of it. So I think that, having that control over your product development life cycle makes you unique, and it also gives you a lot more power in when and how things get done. Um, so I think that's one thing that makes us probably the most significant thing that makes us unique compared to other companies that do what
Very
we do.
good. That suggests you've got to have a pretty good business development process because you've got to have a pretty good stream of steady work, steady projects coming in order to keep people
Busy.
and yeah, exactly to keep the payroll moving
Yeah.
and to keep the cash flow making sense.
We do, and sometimes that stagnates, and sometimes there's no work, and sometimes there's too much work.
Hmm. Yeah.
You got 10 jobs to do in April, and you got none in March, and it always works. I wish you could balance it out to where, the machine is fed when it's hungry, but that's not how it works. There are
Yeah.
times where we are doing double shifts, overtime, this and that,
Hmm.
and there's been weeks where we've dedicated guys to doing stuff around the shop just to get it cleaned up because there's not much going on.
Got
Uh,
it.
but overall, the balance is something that upper management needs to work on to make sure we get the work to feed the machine and make sure guys are busy and doing work and make sure it's being done correctly.
Important part. You got to get those customers coming back a second time. And if the quality's not there, why would they come back to you again and again?
Correct. And we do have good customer retention. I mean, the people that we do work for, they continuously come back to us.
Very good. Very good. I got to ask this question. What inspired you to go into this kind of a business? Um, was there something in your background that had you related to doing steel fabrication? What was it that inspired that? That's kind of unusual in this DMV area.
I think construction is something that always inspired me.
Aha.
So I worked for Lockheed Martin back in the day, and they were a
Mm.
manufacturer. They manufacture, top secret stuff that I can't
Hmm.
release, but they're a manufacturer nonetheless. And while I worked for them, I also used to flip homes in Baltimore.
Hmm.
Well, at that time, right before the mortgage crisis happened, it was a new thing to take these older, dilapidated homes, fix them up, make them nice and new, and sell them. And I
Hmm.
enjoy doing that on the side. I did a few homes. I developed a passion for it, and I saw the market just crash.
Uh-huh.
It just no one was doing it anymore. It was just
Hmm.
one of the biggest crises in history, recent
Hmm.
history. But that didn't, get rid of my passion for construction. So I talked to some folks, a couple of engineers. A good friend of mine's an engineer, and he said, why don't you get into highway? He's like, that's also construction, but it never goes anywhere because it's based on need.
Mm.
Um, it's nothing aesthetic. You're not going to add, a nice countertop or something like that to make it nicer, but it's always needed and it's not going anywhere. And that set the trend for me to head towards highway construction.
Okay. Okay. And how did that transition into steel fabrication?
So there were multiple components that go into the highway, but concrete, steel, geotextiles are probably the three biggest. And those are the routes you can go into as far as, unless you're trying to be a general contractor, which requires enormous amounts of capital.
Yeah, right.
And have steel fabrication was an opportunity that I
Hmm.
felt like I would be able to get into. And there was a niche. There weren't a lot of people doing it. We did some research, we did SWOT analysis, and I think we noticed there were three companies that were similar to what we wanted to do between
Hmm.
North Carolina and Maryland.
Hmm.
So the opportunity was there.
Hmm. Okay.
Going into something like general contracting, other aspects of business where companies are a dime a dozen.
Hmm. Yeah. It's interesting, just thinking about it. The fact that there aren't a whole lot of them here says the need's there.
Correct.
Um, Fill it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I
Awesome.
think I honestly think the need will arise more once they know there are people that can do the job.
Hmm.
I think, the DOTs, they understand what they have in the market that can do the job. And there's a backlog of, I mean, as far as our highways, our bridges, we're behind. If you
Mm.
travel around the world, we are behind.
Yeah.
Structure is very, very behind other developing countries and established countries.
I can recall being in cities where all of a sudden they're discovering bridges are corroding out from under, and they hadn't even looked at them until just then.
Correct.
Um, so there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in that particular niche. That's very good. Thinking down that road, you've been doing this long enough. What's a hurdle you've had to cross that's most memorable in driving this project?
As far as hurdles, there were several. I mean,
I'll bet.
just picture the Olympics when a runner is constantly running over these hurdles and
Yeah.
going for a never-ending finish line, right?
Sometimes two at once.
Yeah. One of the most memorable hurdles for me, I think, is when a contractor refused to pay us for a significant amount of work that we did for them
Hmm.
because of no fault of ours.
Hmm.
It seems like we were set up to fail. We felt we were discriminated against. We had folks in high places working against us. Um, the damage that it could have caused was significant enough to sabotage our company.
Hmm.
And we had to file a lawsuit in federal court because of it.
Hmm.
So, early arbitration seemed to be in our favor.
Hmm.
We came to a settlement and recouped a good portion of the money they owed us.
Hmm.
Plenty was left on the table.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, when you were a small business, you don't have the pockets to really fight with a Fortune 500 company, which is what they were.
Hmm.
Luckily, we had a good documented case, an extremely aggressive lawyer that wanted to go wanted to go even further that we didn't want to risk going,
Yeah, right.
going places we didn't want to risk going to.
Yeah.
I still remember the trauma while it was going on. I was so nervous. I can recall one particular day when I was actually throwing up blood in the bathroom at work from stress. And that day was 3 days before my wedding.
Oh Lord.
So just to give you an idea, I guess the lesson here is, no pun intended, that you have to have a certain stomach for running a business.
Yeah. Thick skin doesn't really describe it, does it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I always wanted to get into business for myself because of just my natural independent nature.
Mm-hmm.
I have a strategic way of thinking. I think
Mm-hmm.
better strategically than, doing smaller tasks. And I had a desire to wear many hats. And one thing when I was working, as an employee, I was very limited on what I could do. So it pushed me to want to start a business. And I was raised by a single immigrant mother.
Mm-hmm.
I was her only child.
Mm-hmm.
My father and her separated when I was two.
Mm-hmm.
My mother worked 2 to 3 jobs to take care of me. Father was gone emotionally, financially, physically. He's just so by my early 20s, she was exhausted. And it was my turn to take care of her, which is one of the things that prevented me from starting a business sooner, because of the risk you have to take.
Got it. Yep. Right. Right. And it
But
takes a long time to
yeah,
to get the cash flow where you need it to be able to do something
and if
like
it
that.
doesn't work, you can end up on the street. Now, I don't mind
Hmm.
being,
Right.
I wouldn't want her to be on the street. So that pushed it a few years. Unfortunately, she passed away in my early 30s,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
which was the trigger to just go all in.
Time to start.
Yeah. So that was the point. There were some months of depression and reflection, but then after that, I went for it.
Got it. Got it. Let's flip that around a little bit and say, where do you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Where do you see the business getting to?
Mm, I mean, you know, I think our business is going to explore new types of work in the next three to
Hmm.
five years.
Hmm.
Uh, we, Sorry if you heard that. That was a steel flipping downstairs, but uh, we're looking into some of the private sector markets like windmill, stainless steel, things of that nature. We've talked to
Hmm.
some potential customers about it, and I think that's something we could expand into
Hmm.
next 3 to 5 years.
Good.
In addition to that, we are outgrowing our current home. This
Hmm.
was pretty gigantic when we first moved in. It looks extremely small now. So we definitely need some new space.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not big enough for what we plan on doing, so that's going
Hmm.
to be a challenge that we're going to have to tackle in the next 3 to 5 years.
Hmm. Very good. Very good. That was going to be my next question. What challenges do you see moving forward? I'll kind of reflect on that. Do you see yourself moving a great distance, or do you see yourself opening a second location?
I, it's so much easier to move a service-based business because you're just moving people.
People
Um,
and computers.
yeah, for a business like this, it's not something easy. So
Hmm.
it's going to be challenging.
Hmm.
And you're going to have to find the exact fit, which is also
Hmm.
challenging. Office space is office space, but a facility, it's going to have to meet your exact needs because you don't
Yep.
want to do it again.
Yep. Right.
Um, so yeah, that's going to be a challenge. We would like to replace instead of add on. I think we will
Hmm.
get a new facility, keep the new, and have everyone shift over to that facility, which is another challenge because logistics becomes a problem. Because
Yep.
you've got your, fabricators and your welders and folks that may not want to travel if you go too far out of the current range, and then you got to
Exactly.
please.
And they got some skills that you need
Correct.
they're hard to find those skills.
There are replaceable folks, but there are some that, that they're replaceable, but their feel for the company and the job is not replaceable.
The
They
culture. Yeah.
understand. There's a lot of intangibles that they bring to the table just because of
Hmm.
experience here.
Hmm. Hmm. Very good. Very good. What do you see that doing for you personally? That growth.
What do I see? What the growth doing for me personally?
Yeah.
Add a lot more stress.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, that's for one. But I think it long term, that's what the idea of business is to grow.
Yeah. Right.
That's what we want to do. We want to get bigger. We want to employ more people, create more jobs, enhance our reputation,
Very good. Very good.
things like that. So I think those are going to be the challenges for me personally. Just
Cool.
seeing that.
Cool. let's kind of think about it from a different angle. If you were going to do this over, you were starting today and you were going to start up again, is there anything you significant that you would do differently from what you did so far?
Uh, Besides maybe not do it. No, I'm kidding. I would do it. I think
Yeah.
there are smaller tactical things that I may have done differently. Um, but overall, strategically, I think, for one, planned better for our facility, so we wouldn't have the problem that we have right now.
Hmm.
Needing more space. It was sort
Hmm.
of quickly done. Didn't strategically think it through that, okay, this is bigger
Hmm.
than we currently have. Let's jump in there versus
Hmm.
planning. Okay, this is our 3 to 5 year plan. This is how much we're growing. Is this facility going to be big enough for what we're trying to do in five
Good
years?
questions. Yeah.
So things like that. At that time,
Hmm.
business was relatively new. I was wearing many hats, kind
Hmm.
of jumped into that without fully thinking it through. And other smaller tactical things like that that occur that you can change. But overall, I think, yeah, I think we've
In
done,
general, it would be the same.
yeah.
Awesome. 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 So, in the interest of time, so we don't chew up the whole day on this, let's start wrapping up with a few rapid fire questions here.
Okay.
Um, what would you say has been the key to your success?
The key to my success, I guess, never stopping and never settling. I think a relentless motor and a desire to succeed will eventually lead to success.
Hmm.
We discussed you have trials, you have hurdles that come along, even
Hmm.
some failures along the way.
Hmm.
But if you view these as temporary and keep moving forward towards what you view as success, I think that's the key to actually getting there.
Yeah, I think that makes very good sense. Very good. Let's suppose you and I were having coffee at the coffee shop and somebody wandered in with his friend and started talking about a business that he was going to be starting up. What's one piece of advice you would give him?
That's a tough one. I'd tell them that, business isn't always about competition. It should also be about collaboration. Um,
Hmm.
I think a lot of times people just view as business, view business starting a business as this big competition. You're out here competing with all these businesses. I think you go a lot further if you collaborate with other businesses
Hmm.
yourself, and even if they're businesses that do similar things to yourself.
Hmm.
For example, when we first started, one of the things we did was reach out to companies that were doing exactly what we were doing and said, "Hey guys, we're also entering this business. Do you have any extra work? Do you have any
Hmm.
extra?" Um, and a couple looked at it, thought that that was a little weird, but another couple, I think two companies actually gave us work. Said, "Hey,
Hmm.
you know what? We are overloaded right now. You think you could handle this? I'm going to send you some drawings. I want you to look at it," and it worked out.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and then to be honest, there's actually an organization for fabricators in the Virginia, North Carolina area where that's what they do. They collaborate and they see if they can help each other. Um, Companies do the exact
Why
same.
not?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that would be key if he was starting a business to approach it as where can I get help from?
Good
Yeah.
question. Good question. Awesome. What is one book you're reading now or have read recently that's had impact on how you're driving the business?
Uh, I so there's an audiobook I listened to recently that really it's called Zero to One. It's by Peter.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
I'm aware of it. I haven't read it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah.
So it's Zero to One. It has an emphasis on creating new products versus improving existing ones. So hence 0 to 1 versus going 1 to N. Um, and he argues, it's an entrepreneurial book, but he
Mm-hmm.
argues doing something that someone else is doing actually limits your growth and profitability
Mm-hmm.
versus creating something no one has and no one has created, and then you dictate your profitability.
Mm-hmm.
So being an one-to-end business, it gets your mind thinking of how, you can transform into a zero to one type of entity. So that's a new thing, just listening to that book over the last month that's dropped in my head, where we're thinking of what we can make for these customers. Let's think
Mm-hmm.
of making something that no one has.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good.
which I proposed, and the folks looked at me like I was crazy. But it did get my mind thinking in that direction of
Yeah,
making something. Um,
that good. That's good because that starts to just your comment about the team. That opens up, we get into comfort zones
correct.
and it gets comfortable. We know what's next. We know what's coming.
Yep,
Whereas if we go down a different trail, we don't know what's coming. There's a risk there.
it's correct. Yeah, and it, it limits your growth because it limits what you can make because there's a price out there for it.
Hmm. Hmm.
You got a price for it. So
Hmm.
but yeah, I thought that book was pretty interesting, and it's written in a way that it gets your attention, whereas some other books you kind of lose focus, and
Yeah,
ADD is pretty big nowadays. So
yeah. Have
it's
Have you met a business owner that doesn't diagnose themselves as ADD?
no, I don't think so. Honestly, I think with our phones and things nowadays, I'd be surprised if anyone didn't have ADD.
Yeah. There's that side of it too. Yeah, keep it away from your kids.
Yep.
Uh, cool, cool. You've had a great journey. You've done a lot of things. You've accomplished a lot. Um, what are you most proud of in this journey so far?
Um, what am I most proud of? I think, coming from humble beginnings,
Hmm.
getting to where I am,
Hmm.
I think the folks that come from nothing and are motivated,
Hmm.
be something, uh,
Hmm.
to me, that goes a long way, and I'm proud of that. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
people come from nothing, just are content
Hmm.
that with that. I think humble beginnings can teach you a lot that defines who you are later on in life. So for example, many times when I introduce my business to others, their response is, "So, is this a family business that you inherited, or did you know some investors that helped you get started, or do you have several partners?" Yada yada. That kind of thing is implied, and I think this is because most businesses in this realm of work are there exactly because of those reasons.
Right.
So it goes back to that American dream thing. To me, it's giving the opportunity to those to achieve what they most likely could not achieve anywhere else. And I feel like, to me, that's always been the fabric of the society. And nowadays, it seems like we're getting away from it. But I think that's what makes America what it is today. And my mother set that example for me, and part of why I'm always pushing forward is because of her. And I think that makes me proud.
Awesome. 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 I have to agree with you there, actually. Um, it's amazing to me the numbers of people that ignore the urban myth that um, you take what you're given as opposed they go out and make what they want. And I think that's a much better path. That's awesome. Just kind of following up that for with a little bit of fun here. If you could significantly improve one thing in your business this afternoon, had a magic wand, what would that be?
Uh, I could I mean, I think it would be what we discussed earlier. I think it would be facility and location.
Yeah, a
I mean,
big facility and without moving more than a couple of miles.
I mean, well, first would be magically making the bank account $1 billion,
Well, there we go.
but second from that, I guess it would be,
Yeah.
we definitely need more space, and like we discussed earlier, moving a manufacturing business is much more challenging, complex, and expensive than a service-based business. So yeah, just
Yeah,
yeah, initially starting to look around has been like, okay, where do we even start?
yeah.
But we'll see where it goes in the next few years. But that's something if I could just snap my fingers and change right now, that'd be great.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, there's machines to move. That means there's electricity that's got to be you got to be able to get enough power. Now, there's all kinds of little factors involved in that. Yeah, fantastic. All right, so most important question: people who want to get to know more and connect with you, what's the best way that they can connect with you?
Uh, I think LinkedIn probably.
Okay.
I have a LinkedIn profile. I made a Facebook profile years ago and I barely use it now. It's
Yeah, yeah.
used it much over and over a decade. So I think but LinkedIn is probably the best way.
Okay. All
Email
right.
address as well. I can, have my email address available to you. And if anyone wants to speak to me about anything and fellow small business owners want to talk, I'm there.
Fantastic, fantastic. I assume you have a website.
Yes, we do. Yep.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
Nasir-associates.com.
Very good. Very good. Last question. What's most inspiring to you today?
Uh, Most inspiring. I mean, I think I said it earlier with the ability to come from humble beginnings and
Hmm.
push towards bettering yourself. This is inspiring to me.
Hmm.
I always was raised on that, and
Hmm.
when I see people doing that, I want to help them just as
Hmm.
much.
And you're
So
taking people with you,
yeah, yeah, I think
employees.
yeah, I mean we've had employees that have bettered themselves in our
Hmm.
company.
Hmm.
They started at a certain place. I've watched some of them grow here and get married. The younger guys that then they next thing you know they've got a kid, and they're working here. They've started here, now they're here, and then we're having their reviews and they're asking, okay, what do I need to do to get here? So yeah, seeing that from fellow business owners and employees,
Hmm.
and I think I you know hope to inspire others someday, from where I can get to.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. You've shared some really great information. I appreciate it. This has been fun.
Thank you.
Um, and I'm really excited to see a manufacturing business in this local area making it because there is so much
Yeah,
cyber and AI and software happening in this area. There's so little actual physical manufacturing. So I'm excited to see some of that happening in this area.
yeah, and that's going to change a lot in the next 5 years as well. I mean, there's machine
Hmm.
what people can do now.
Hmm.
Not just in the service-based industry, but also in construction and
Hmm.
there's robotic welders. There
Hmm.
are machines that can go through and drill holes, cut everything for you. So well, it'll be interesting to see. I think AI is moving too fast for us to predict what it's going to do.
Oh, I think that's a given. Yes, very much so. This is great. I really thank you for sharing this story. This has been really good. Um,
Thank
and
you.
so for everybody watching, save the show, come back and watch. Naumaan has shared a couple of really interesting points in here. Um, I think it's a good one to come back and revisit a little bit. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications every time we drop a new conversation like this. And thank you to everybody who joined us today. A special thank you to Naumaan, who was vulnerable, shared his story. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.